even premature death. And these are just the physical ramifications. Our minds and spirits take a huge toll when we are not being authentic with who we are and how we are. I've just recently been able to talk about the grief of not being a mom and about this place of indifference that I'm experiencing in my faith. And I'm finally starting to understand the parts of me in my life that lead me to people please and overextend. But before I started talking about it, I hid it. I was waving the "How are you? I'm fine" flag. And I was a card-carrying member of the "I'm great, how are you" club. If you are in that place, I would encourage you to lean in. Get yourself a counselor or a therapist or a spiritual director or a life coach. Counselors are great. These are people who are trained to help us be aware of and process our emotions, because life is messy and beautiful and lovely and hard. Seriously, I think the world would be a better place if everybody got counseling. And by the way, if you have any recommendations for people in the Tacoma area that take United Healthcare, I'm looking. Hashtag for reals, if you have names, send them my way. So far, we have been reminded about letting our true selves be seen, acknowledging our feelings, and leaning into emotion, all leading to authenticity. It's a topic that's been explored throughout history, from Greek philosophers to Shakespeare, to thine own self be true. But authentic leadership has only recently been studied and fully accepted in the professional world. It's become such a focus that the Harvard Business Review in 2015 declared that authenticity has emerged as the gold standard for leadership. Part of that is due in part to Bill George's 2000 book, Authentic Leadership, 2003, aptly named, right? Total disclosure, I have not read this book. But what George proposes is that what matters most is a leader's character more than his characteristics or style. He says, I believe that leadership begins and ends with authenticity. It's being yourself, being the person you were created to be. The essence then of authentic leadership is emotional intelligence, or EQ, a phrase coined by Daniel Goleman. IQ is fixed, not EQ. It can be developed over time, and I think that is very good news for all of us. The first and most important step on the journey toward authenticity is gaining self-awareness about our emotions and how they impact our behaviors. One trait of authentic leaders that George mentions in his writing: they monitor their words and behaviors carefully to be attuned to their audiences. They do so because they are sensitive to the impact their words and actions have on others. Basically, authentic leaders assess the people and the place to determine how much of their emotions they share, if they share at all, because there are appropriate places and times for feelings. In late 2006 or early 2007, I can't remember, I interviewed for a job at Morgan. The timing was pretty terrible. I was totally heartbroken and miserable. I'd just been through the biggest breakup of my life. I'd moved, and I'd broken my ankle, all in the span of 3 weeks. I didn't know it at the time, but I had entered into the deepest depression of my life, one that would last about a year and a half. So naturally, I thought it would be a good time to start a new job. I remember very clearly sitting in the conference room for my interview, and one of the interviewers asked a very reasonable question. She said, "You seem to be quite an emotional person. How well do you think you'll handle the pressures of this role?" I would like to say that in that moment, I was aware of the environment and my audience. And like Bill George says, that I monitored my words carefully. I didn't. I burst into tears in an interview. I had the vulnerability part of authentic leadership just dialed in, but not the self-monitoring part. Yeah, I didn't get that job. Authentic leaders have another trait worth mentioning. They make decisions not from their feelings, but they are aware that their feelings impact their decisions. They know that who they are and how they are at any given moment impacts their leading. Bill George says that leaders should regularly take time to assess their emotional state and how that shows up in their leadership. So, I'd ask you to go back to that emotion that you named just a few moments ago. In what ways do you think that feeling impacts your leadership? If you remember, I am currently feeling overwhelmed. Being overwhelmed affects my leadership because I am less available to people and projects that need my full attention and presence. So, take a moment. Think about how your current prominent emotion might be impacting your leadership. Just quietly. To think about these things, to think about authenticity and a wholehearted leadership. Most people are ruled by their emotions without any awareness that it's happening or the impact that it has on their lives and the lives of those around them. Authentic leadership is a better way. And I believe that ours is an organization that supports the development of authentic leaders. Those that understand their purpose, are directed by values, and lead with heart. So, let yourself be seen. Be honest and gritty and real with each other. Learn to identify your feelings and tend to those feelings. Lean in. And strive to be an authentic leader, one who is attentive to the impact that you have on others and the impact your feelings can have on your leadership. This may or may not be similar to the emotion that you chose today, but I'm going to leave you with a little sing-along that we can all tune together. You guys know the tune. Come on, join me. If you're sad and you know it, clap your hands. If you're sad and you know it, clap your hands. If you're stressy and depressy and your life is kind of messy, if you're sad and you know it, clap your hands.